Welcome A Tale of Two Cities, a powerful story set in London and Paris. During the bloody days of the French Revolution, this is not just a story about two cities, it's about love, sacrifice, injustice, and a man who chose death so another could live. In this video, you will experience the emotions, the drama, and unforgettable character that made this novel one of the dirtiest classics of our time. So sit back, relax, and let the story begin. It was the Dover Road that lay on a Friday night late in November, before the first of the persons with whom this history has business. The Dover Road lay next to him beyond the Dover Mill, as he clambered up Shooter's Hill. He walked uphill in the mile by the side of the mill, as the rest of the passengers did, not because they had the least relish for walking exercise under the circumstances, but because the hill and the harness and the mud and the mill were all so happy that the horses had 3 times already come to a stop, besides once drawing the coach across the road, with the mutinous intent of taking it back to Blackheath, Greens and whip and coachman and guard, however, in combination, had read that article of war which folded a purpose otherwise strongly in favor of the argument that some brute animals are endowed with reason, and the team had capitulated and returned to their duty. With dropping heads and tremulous faces, they mashed their way through the thick mud, floundering and stumbling between miles as if they were falling to pieces at the larger joints. As often as the driver arrested them and brought them to a stand, with a weary woohoo so heartened, the near leader violently shook his head and everything upon it, like an unusually emphatic horse, denying that the coach could be caught up the hill. Whenever the leader made this battle, the passenger started as a nervous passenger might and was disturbed in mind. There was a steaming mist on all the hollows and had room in it for lowness of the hill, like an evil spirit seeking rest and finding none. A clammy and intensely cold mist, it made its slow way through the air in the bursts that usually followed and overspread one another, as the waves of an unwholesome sea might do. It was dense enough to shut out everything from the night of the coach lamps, but these its own workings and a few yards of roads and the reek of the neighboring horses steamed into it, as if they had made it on. 2 other passengers besides the one were plodding up the hill by the side of the mill. All 3 were wrapped to the cheekbones and over the ears, and wore jackboots. Not one of 3 could have said from anything he saw what either of the other 2 was like, and each was hidden under almost as many wrappers from the eyes of the mind as from the eyes of the body of his 2 companions. In those days, travelers were very shy on being confidential on a short notice, for anybody on the road might be a robber or in league with robbers. As to the latter, when wary, posting house and alley house could produce somebody in the captain's way, ranging from the landlord to the lowest stable, nondescript. It was the likeliest thing upon the cards, so the guard of the Dover Mill thought to himself that Friday night in November 1775, lumbering up Shooter's Hill, as he stood on his own particular perch behind the mill, beating his feet and keeping an eye and a hand on the armchairs before him, while a loaded blunderbuss lay at the top of 6 or 8 loaded horse pistols deposited on a substratum of cutlass. The door main was in its usual general position, that the guard suspected the passengers suspected one another and the guard, they all suspected everybody else, and the coachman was sure of nothing but the horse as to which captain he could with a clear conscience have taken his oath on the two testaments that they were not fit for the journey. "Woohoo!" said the coachman. "So then one more pull and you're at the top and we demand to you. For I have had trouble enough to get you to eat, Joe." "Hello," the guard replied. "What o'clock do you make it, Joe?" 10 minutes. Good. Past 11. My lord, ejaculated the vexed coachman, and not a top of shooters yet. "This, yeah, get on with you." The emphatic horse got shot by the whip. In a most decided negative made a decided scramble for it, and the 3 other horses followed suit. Once more the doorway struggled on, with the jackboots of its passengers splashing along by its sides. They had a stop Mandico when the coach stopped, and they kept close company with it if any one of the 3 had the hardihood to purpose to another to walk on a little ahead into the mist and darkness. He would have put himself in a fair way of getting shot instantly as a highwayman. The louse bird carried the mail to the summit of the hill. The horses stopped to breathe again, and the car got down to escape the weight for the descent and open the coach door to let the passengers in. "This, Joe," cried the coachman in a warning voice, looking down for his box. "What do you say, Tom?" They both listened. "I say a horse at a scent coming up, Joe." "I say a horse to a gallop," Tom returned the guard, leaving his whole of the door and mounting nimbly to his place. "Gentlemen," in the king's name, "all of you," with this hurried adjuration, he combed his blunderbuss and stood on the offensive. The passenger book by the history was on the coach step, getting in the coach. 2 passengers were close behind him and about to follow. He remained on the step, half in the coach and half out of. They remained in the road below him. They all looked from the coachman to the cart and from the cart to the coachman and listened. The coachman looked back and the guard looked back, and even the emphatic leader picked up his ears and looked back without contradicting.